From mist-covered valleys to cliffs carved with thousand-year-old statues, there are places in China that make you hardly believe they truly exist. Have you ever heard of the Yandang Mountains, where ancient temples are built into cliffs as if in conversation with the blue sky? Have you ever seen the Longmen Grottos, where thousands of serene Buddha statues gaze down at the river as if their thousand-year-old eyes have never closed? Have you ever heard of the ancient town of Fenghuang, where memories drift quietly beneath moss-covered rooftops along a jade-green river? And that is only the beginning. China hides worlds forgotten by time, wild mountains, sacred temples, ancient caves, and lakes that change color with the light of sunset. Each place is a story. Every forest, every peak, is a chapter in the epic that nature has never stopped writing. Today, I will open the door with you into the most mysterious mountains of China, where nature is not only beautiful, but sacred, where people do not merely explore, but awaken. Place 1. Yandang Mountains, the range that whispers ancient words, located in Zhejiang province. The Yandang Mountains are not a destination for noise. Here, you need not say a word, for everything has already been told by nature in stone. In water, and in absolute stillness, ancient temples cling to cliffs as if praying with the clouds and sky. The narrow mountain path, where a single misstep could lead into a deep abyss, instead guides travelers into a space filled with sacred light and inner peace. When the sun rises, its rays pierce the mist to form a halo around the rocky peaks, as if the gods were silently revealing themselves. And when night falls, the wind passing through the rock crevices is not sound, but the echo of ancient sutras resonating from a time long asleep. Locals believe Yandang was once the retreat of a nameless monk who chose this place as his sanctuary because here there was nothing to keep and nothing to leave behind. Only sky, earth, and complete letting go. And when you stand amid such nature, you need understand nothing more, only feel. Place 2. Longmen Grottos, the gaze of stone, watching for 1,000 years. Not every gaze belongs to the living. Some gazes are carved into stone, to witness, to protect, and to remember. On the cliffside above the Yi River, more than 100,000 Buddha statues are carved directly into the rock. Some are as small as a fingertip. Some tower over 17 meters high. They have watched dynasties rise and fall. They have listened to whispered prayers for more than 1,400 years. In the morning, their shadows stretch long over the water. The silence here is so deep, you feel as though the stone itself is meditating. It is believed that this place preserves not only art, but energy. Each statue is a memory, a faith, a fossilized prayer, and if you stand long enough before them, you will not only be looking, you will feel they are looking at you. 2. Place 3. Fenghuang, ancient town. The town asleep beside the river of time, there are places that need no words. Just standing there, the whole world slows down. Fenghuang, ancient town, is neither noisy nor flashy. It lies quietly along the Tuojiang River, letting time flow like water, gentle, deep, and never returning. Wooden houses stand shoulder to shoulder, casting their shadows over the river. Red lanterns sway gently in the evening breeze, like memories waiting to be called by name. The elderly still sit on the stone bridge, while the young slowly row their boats through a scene that seems to exist only in an ink painting. There is no specific destination here. The entire town is an open memory. Anyone passing through will feel that a part of them once belonged to it. And when night falls, golden lights reflecting on the water shimmer like a dream. You realize you are not stepping into a place, you are wandering into a time that no longer exists. Place 4, Mount Emai. Touching the sky from the Golden Temple roof, welcome to Mount Emai, one of the 4 great Buddhist mountains of China, and a place where nature, spirituality, and mist live under the same roof. We are standing at an altitude of over 3,000 meters, where clouds do not float above you, but beneath your feet. Take a deep breath. The air here is cool, pure, and almost separated from the world below. Our next stop is the Golden Summit, where the Golden Temple gleams atop the mountain like a jewel set in a sea of clouds. If you are lucky, you may witness the sea of clouds when the entire valley below transforms into endless white waves. It is believed that standing here, if your mind is still enough, you can hear your own self. Mount Emai is not just a mountain, it is a place where people come to find the silence within, amid the sound of wind, the ringing of temple bells, and sunlight filtering through the thin mist. Place 5, Fanjing Mountain, the lone peak in the sky, a mountain peak set apart from the world, where clouds do not drift past, but remain beneath your feet, where 2 massive rocks stack upon each other, carrying a small temple that has stood for centuries. Fanjing Mountain, with its strange shape like a stone needle piercing the sky, is a place the ancients believed Maitreya Buddha once attained enlightenment. No sound carries far here, only wind, and a stillness so deep you can hear every thought in your head. At the summit, the sunrise does not merely shine, it gilds the clouds, turning the temple into a lone lantern suspended in the void. No fences, no railings, only rock, sky, and a single step, trembling between reverence and fear. It is called the rooftop of letting go, because to reach the top, each step must be as light as releasing something, and when you finally stand there is nothing left to say, only the feeling of being so small you are almost transparent. Place 6, Wuling Yuan, a forest of stone pillars in the sky. Thousands of stone columns rise straight into the air like a vertical forest. No leaves, no roots, only stone, growing from the earth like memories of time, fossilized in 3-dimensional space. Wuling Yuan, also known as Zhangjiaji, is unlike anywhere else in the world. The landscape here is unreal, yet entirely real. Pillars ranging from 200 to over 1,000 feet high are covered in moss, shrouded in clouds, and detached from every ordinary rule. Between the gorges, waterfalls cascade down like white silk draped across the sky. Sometimes, mist rises from the valleys, covering everything, revealing only a few stone columns, like islands floating in midair. It feels like a world that has been asleep for millions of years, now revealing itself only to those who know how to watch in silence. People call this place the real Pandora. But no cinema is needed to see the miracle. You only need to stand in the middle of Wuling Yuan and accept that there are places on Earth so beautiful you doubt your own eyes. Place 7. Huangshan. Where time becomes white clouds, the mountains rise like stone fingers holding up the sky. Among them, pine trees grow precariously on sheer cliffs, twisting in the wind, bending in the mist, as if listening to something older than words. For centuries, Huangshan has not only been the muse of ink paintings and classical poetry, it is an unspoken letter from nature sent to those patient enough to climb through clouds to read it. The sea of clouds here does not lie beneath the mountains. It embraces every peak, drifting slowly like the quiet flow of memory. In the morning, golden sunlight falls upon moss-covered rocks. In the afternoon, silver clouds blanket the paths, leaving the traveler walking through a dream with no way back. The ancients believed Huangshan was the dwelling place of immortals. People today come not to believe or disbelieve, but to watch the clouds in silence and to remember that some beauty is not meant to be kept, only seen once and carried forever. Place 8. Tianqi, the heaven lake in the Tianshan Mountains. Amid eternal snow-covered peaks, where the air is thin and time seems to stop, Tianqi, or Heaven Lake, appears like a cold blue gem, still and complete. At an altitude of more than 2,000 meters, its surface is as smooth as glass, reflecting the high sky and the snow-clad ridges. No voices, no waves, only light, cold wind, and a silence so deep you can hear your own heartbeat. The ancients believed this was the dwelling place of the gods. Pilgrims immersed their hands in the icy water to pray for a cleansed heart. Not because the water is sacred, but because the moment of touching such absolute purity forces one to be still. When sunset falls, the lake changes color from emerald green to silvery gray. Then sinking into deep black, there is no clear boundary between sky and water, only an endless expanse, drifting in silence. Place 9. Leshan, giant Buddha, 1,000-year gaze over 3 rivers, leaning against a dark red cliff, eyes half closed, lips in a gentle smile. The Leshan giant Buddha says nothing, yet seems to have seen everything. Standing over 70 meters tall, the statue is carved directly into the mountainside where 3 rivers meet. In the past, this was known as a place where fierce waters converged, where chaotic currents had claimed countless lives. And so, they built this statue not only to worship, but to seek a compassionate gaze over this harsh land. It is believed that the Buddha's eyes look not only toward the river, but also into the hearts of people through the entanglements of the world, resting on the one thing that matters most: peace. When the afternoon sun falls upon the face, the Buddha's shadow stretches across the water, touching the waves, like a quiet blessing sent along the current in a place where stone can turn into faith and silence can replace prayer. The Leshan giant Buddha is not merely a monument, but a living presence, made of stone, of time, and of the human heart. Place 10. Shenongjia, the sacred forest of mist and legend. No signposts, no engine noise, only forest, primeval woods stretching like an ancient carpet, curled in mist and mysteries never explained. Shenongjia, called the land with no way out, is one of the wildest forests in China. Here, trees grow over one another, vines shroud the paths, and sunlight filters only through leaf gaps like stray beams of lost memory. Each step lands on soft earth. Each breath releases cold mist, as if you are walking through a dream never fully told. Locals believe the forest is home to a yeti, but the strangest thing is not the footprints, it is the feeling of being silently watched. In Shenongjia, stillness is not an absence, but a living being, listening, remembering. This place is not just a forest, it is an unnamed memory. And when you leave, if you are lucky, what you carry will not be a photograph, but a clear sense that you have just walked through something sacred, which no one should name lightly. Place 11, Juzhaigu Valley. Where water sings and forests remember, not every place with water has a soul. But in Juzhaigu, the Valley of 9 Villages, the water does not just flow, it sings love songs that have never had words. Nestled in the Minshan Mountains, where maple forests and lakes intertwine, Juzhaigu is a living painting, repainted each day by the 4 seasons. 5 Flower Lake is as clear as crystal, changing colors with the light blue, green, turquoise, like the moods of the sky. Waterfalls tumble from moss-covered cliffs like silk ribbons, reflecting faint rainbows in the morning mist. Locals believe that every lake here is a mirror of the gods, reflecting the past, holding the whispers of earth and sky. In Juzhaigu, no words are needed, just stand still. Let the water tell its stories. Let the forest embrace the silence. And let your soul drift with a beauty that needs no explanation. Place 12, Yamdrok Lake. The turquoise jewel beneath the sky. Not every lake is called sacred, but Yamdrok, the turquoise jewel of Tibet, is believed to be the heart of the land's soul. At an altitude of more than 4,400 meters, Yamdrok lies quietly among snow mountains. Its deep blue waters like an unfathomable gaze. When the wind passes, the lake ripples gently like nature's breath, slow, steady, and full of meditation. Tibetans believe that if Yamdrok Lake dries up, life here will vanish. That is why they come not to sightsee, but to bow their heads, to pray, and to listen to the sacredness that cannot be put into words. When sunset falls, the lake changes color, from blue to golden, then to deep purple, like the robes of the gods. And if you stand there long enough, you will understand. It is not you looking at the water, but the water looking back at you. Of the past to open a new destiny, and perhaps each of us has our own first bend, where we choose to stop, turn, and begin life again in a different way. Place 14, Maijishan Grottos. When stone becomes a prayer on a cliff nearly 150 meters high, more than 7,000 Buddha statues hang between heaven and earth. They are not paintings, nor are they illusions. They are Maijishan, wheat-stacked mountain, where people carve their faith into stone and into eternity, located in Gansu province. The Maijishan Grottos are among the 4 great Buddhist cave complexes of China. But what makes this place unique is not only the exquisite artistry spanning over 1,500 years, but its unimaginable location. The caves are carved into a sheer cliff, connected by narrow walkways, strung like threads across the sky. walking along the precarious wooden corridors, you feel as though you are moving between dream and reality. Buddha statues, bodhisattvas, and celestial beings emerge from the misty stone, eyes half closed, serene smiles, as if they have seen all the changes of the world. It is believed that this was once a place of ascetic retreat for monks who withdrew from the world to carve their answers into stone instead of arguing with words. When the wind passes through the rock crevices, you hear an indistinct sound, like an ancient chant forgotten in the sky. And as you stand before those thousands of stone gazers, you suddenly realize some prayers need not be spoken. They only need to be kept in silence for thousands of years. Place 15 Dazu rock carvings. When stone rises like the memory of time, hidden among lush green hills and silent bamboo forests in Chongqing, there is a place where stone knows how to tell stories. Not noisy, not loudly advertised, yet it makes people stand still for a long time when they suddenly see it, as if you had stumbled upon a page of an ancient book carved into a cliff. The reliefs of Dazu are not in caves, not sheltered under temple roofs. They rise in the open air, on moss-covered cliffs, amidst wild nature, as if nature itself had carved them. Sometimes you walk past a rustling bamboo grove, and suddenly, between the leaves, appears a serene stone face. Sometimes you follow a red earth path along a mountainside, only to unexpectedly encounter a relief stretching dozens of meters with impossibly meticulous details, as if someone had spent a lifetime carving each line by hand. And the strangest thing is, everything is very still. No sound but the forest birds, the whispering wind through bamboo leaves, and the soft echo of your footsteps on damp earth. You will not see glittering gold or grand columns, but for that very reason, everything here feels more real, more alive, and touches you more deeply. Looking at the images carved into stone, of people, of nature, of life, you will realize this is not just a tourist spot. It is a diary of nature, where time, people, and stone have lived together and left their traces. Place 16 White Horse Temple. Where time stops among maple trees, there are places that do not need to be vast, do not need to be grand. They only need to be quiet enough for people to hear the voice of their own hearts. White Horse Temple in Luoyang is such a place, hidden among groves of maple and ancient pine trees. The White Temple, with moss-covered curved roofs, appears as light as mist, as if it was not built, but allowed by nature to appear on this land. The path to the temple is paved with stone, flanked by weeping willows and soft grass gardens. Each step on that path does not lead you to a structure, but leads you back to yourself. The sound of wind over the old tiled roofs, the gentle rustle of maple leaves like thin pages of a book, make this place feel more like a realm of memory than a destination. In autumn, the entire temple grounds are covered in red and gold leaves, as if nature were repainting each detail with the last light of the day. In spring, the air here is so pure you can smell the scent of time, the smell of old wood, damp stone, and young grass just waking after winter. White Horse Temple is not prominent on a tourist map, but if you have ever passed through this place, you will forever remember the feeling that the world suddenly became lighter and time slowed down simply because of a breeze across mossy green tiles. Place 17 Hanging Temple. the temple suspended between wind and stone. Have you ever seen a temple, not on the ground, but hanging in mid-air on a cliff, between sky and wind, as if nature itself were holding it with its breath? This is Zhuangkongxi, the hanging temple, the miraculous structure clinging to the sheer cliff of Mount Heng in Shanxi province. From afar, it looks like a dream made of wood, suspended in the air, pressed close to the rock as if hiding from the wind, yet also whispering something to the heavens. The path up to the temple is a series of narrow wooden bridges clinging to the mountainside, just wide enough for one person to pass. Below your feet is a deep abyss. In front of you, a towering cliff, and all around, only wind, the only sound in that moment, making your heart slow down, not from fear, but from awe. No vendors, no crowds, only you, nature, and a structure built from a strange daring between man and stone. The ancients said, to meet the sky, you must leave the ground. Perhaps that is why the hanging temple was built in this impossible place, to remind us that faith sometimes does not need to touch the earth. It only needs to be light enough not to fear the heights and strong enough to hang among the impossible. Place 18 Mogao Caves. When the desert whispers in color, imagine walking through the Gobi Desert, where the sun pours down like fire, and the wind carries grains of sand that erode even time itself. And then, like a mirage, a cliff appears, opening a doorway into a world unlike any other on Earth. This is the Mogao Caves, where barren stone walls have been transformed into a museum of light, color, and human imagination. Over 1,000 years ago, more than 700 caves were carved into the mountains, not for shelter, but to tell dreams through images. Vast murals stretch across vaulted ceilings, walls, and pillars, depicting heavens, journeys, and dances of light, all in a brilliance that feels unreal. Inside, the air is cool, a complete contrast to the scorching desert. Outside, you will see greens, golds, and deep reds. Still vivid after thousands of years, you may find yourself asking, how could they do this in such a dry, desolate place? And then you realize it is precisely because of the dryness, the desolation, and the silence that these stories have never faded. The Mogao Caves are not just a destination, they are a message from the past to the future, written in sand, stone, and the patience of light. Place 19, Fengdu Ghost City. When river waters hold dreams that have not crossed over on the vast Yangtze River, there is a stretch of water that is strangely still, not because the wind has stopped, but because something in the air makes everything seem to slow down. That is when you approach Fengdu Ghost City, an ancient complex halfway up Ming Mountain, said in old Chinese culture to be the gateway to the afterlife. But if you expect it to be eerie, you will be surprised. Fengdu is not dark, not gloomy. On the contrary, it is surrounded by light, by the river, and by green trees whispering along moss-covered stone paths, city gates, stone statues, and winding stairways around the mountainside all seem to have stepped out of an ancient dream, both magical and quietly serene. On the way to the summit, you will cross strange stone bridges and pass through gates carved with images both familiar and unfamiliar, as if the place was built to make you ask questions rather than find answers. And when you stand at the mountain's peak, looking down at the Yangtze River, winding in the twilight, you will feel something drifting away, not time, but some old thought within you that has just been set free. Fengdu does not frighten. It simply places you in a space where reality and dreams overlap, and whispers. Some things do not need to be explained, only felt. Place 20 Wu Yuan, where time drifts across fields of rapeseed flowers. If there is a place where you only need to stand still and already feel as though you are inside a painting being drawn by light, it is Wu Yuan. Located in Jiangxi province, Wu Yuan is not a destination of grandeur. There are no snow-capped mountains, no roaring waterfalls, yet it holds a kind of beauty that stills the heart, the beauty of simplicity, peace, and a rhythm of life so slow it feels almost eternal. In spring, the whole of Wu Yuan turns into an endless sea of yellow as rapeseed flowers bloom. Ancient tiled roof houses peek through the waves of blossoms, as if they have been placed there hundreds of years ago and never once needed to be moved. Walking along the stone-paved village paths, you will hear the gentle murmur of water from small streams, footsteps mingling with the scent of old wood, and the wind brushing through the flower fields as if retelling a spring long past. The locals still live as they did centuries ago, planting tea, dyeing fabric, drying rice in the sun. And it is precisely this unhurried way of life that makes Wu Yuan more of a place to return to rather than to discover. Wu Yuan does not try to carve itself into your memory with awe. It simply places an image quietly in your heart and lets you carry it. A land where peace is not something you find, but something you feel. Place 21 Zitang Water Town, where lantern light floats on water like gentle memories. There are towns that do not need music, nor introductions, just a slow boat gliding through narrow waterways and lantern light swaying softly in the breeze, enough for you to know you are in a place very different. Zitang, located in the Jiangnan Plains, is one of China's most ancient water towns, yet it is not as noisy as Suzhou, nor as crowded as Zhujiang. Zitang is quieter, deeper, and as beautiful as a breath held over from the past. Along narrow canals, old black-tiled roofs line up closely, reflecting on the still water like a mirror. Arched stone bridges connect the two banks like slender threads, tying past to present, and narrow alleys to the human heart. When dusk falls, red lanterns light up along the streets, their warm, amber glow scattering softly across the water, shimmering like a drifting memory. And when night deepens, the whole town becomes like a dream. In negative, no sound needed, only light and the gentle rhythm of lone oars on the water. People come to Zitang not to seek something grand, but to find a small moment, yet one that feels whole. A moment when you pause on a stone bridge, or see the lanterns swaying beneath your feet, and realize peace has never needed many reasons. Place 22 Hongkan Village, where the water keeps the reflection of time. Some villages are built of bricks and stone. Others are painted in water, mist, and memory. Hongkun, the ancient village in Anhui province, is one such place. From afar, Hongkan appears like a living ink painting, with white-walled houses, high, black-tiled roofs, curving gently, reflected in a crescent-shaped lake. believed to be the heart of the entire village. In the morning, mist lightly covers the water's surface, the stone steps, and the climbing flowers on the old walls. Everything seems to breathe softly, so as not to awaken whatever has long been asleep in the earth. Walking the stone path around the lake, you will hear your own footsteps sounding as lightly as the wind. Sometimes, an old man sits in the sun before his doorway, or a painter works quietly at his easel, yet they do not disturb the space. They belong to it, as clouds belong to mountains. In the late afternoon, golden sunlight tilts through wooden window frames, reflecting on the still water, where every image is clearer than in a mirror, as if time here does not pass, but stays still to remember. Hong Kong does not demand that you explore it. It simply invites you to sit for a long while and look, because perhaps the deepest things always come from the silence of a place where nothing is in a hurry. Place 23, Zhaozhuang, when water becomes the road into a dream. If there is a place where you do not walk on streets but drift through life by boat, it is Zhaozhuang, the water town known as the Venice of the East, not far from Shanghai. Zhaozhuang appears like an ancient dream preserved in water. Centuries-old houses stand along the canal banks. Moss-covered roofs, half-closed wooden windows, all reflected on the still, mirror-like water. Here, the roads are rivers, the vehicles are boats, and time is a quiet flow. You can sit in a small boat, glide beneath arched stone bridges, hear the gentle splash of oars, the wind brushing past rows of red lanterns hanging along the eaves. Everything in Zhaozhuang moves slowly, but it is never dull, like a wordless song that automatically calms the mind. When sunset falls, the orange glow stains the water gold, and the whole town feels steeped in a layer of warm oil paint. There are no harsh sounds, no urgent calls, only light, water, and nameless emotions. Zhaozhuang is not a place to check in. It is where you can drop your burdens and find something soft within yourself, something that once existed, but you forgot, because life was too hurried. Place 24, Tongli, where the waters hold every breath of the past, if every river carries memories. Then, in Tongli, the waters do not flow away, they stay, nestled in Jiangsu province. Tongli is an ancient town over 1,000 years old. Yet time seems unwilling to leave. Every moss-covered roof tile, every stone bridge, every drop of water reflecting the morning light, all remain as they were in the beginning. The town is divided by canals that weave together like silk threads. Arched stone bridges span narrow alleys, each step carrying you through a piece of memory you never knew you had. In the morning, mist drifts lightly over the water. Sunlight filters through the trees onto whitewashed walls, a scene so quiet you could almost hear the sound of stillness itself. Be late afternoon, small boats glide through narrow waterways. Lanterne lit early, scattering red reflections on the water like drifting blossoms. And you, simply by standing there, become part of the scenery. People say Tongli is nothing special, just an ordinary water town, but it is precisely this ordinary that makes it different. It does not need to impress you, it only needs to make you remember, because some places do not hold you by experience, but by the feeling that you once belonged there. even if only for a moment. Place 25 Dali, Old Town. When mountains whisper and the lake quietly listens, somewhere in the southwest of China lies a small town where the sun rises over the Kang Mountains and sets into Erhai Lake each day like a silent loop of the universe. Dali Old Town, in Yunnan province, is not an ancient city that is bustling and lively. It feels more like a pause, a beautiful stillness that makes you want to linger a little longer, just to breathe in rhythm with nature. Set between the majestic Kangshan Range and the wide Erhai Lake like a heavenly mirror, this old town was built with stone, wood, and old dreams. Stone-paved alleys lead you from the streets into the forest, from a quiet tea house to a silent lakeshore where small boats still rest as if they have never known haste. Mornings here are a symphony of mist, birdsong, and sunlight piercing the tree canopy. In the afternoon, you can sit by the lake, watching ripples brush against the stone shore as the sun dissolves into the water like the final ink stroke in a watercolor painting. The people of Dali live slowly. They grow vegetables, brew tea, embroider cloth, and smile at visitors not out of courtesy, but because they are truly at peace with their lives. Dali does not try to hold you back, but when you leave, it will follow you into your most peaceful dreams, where the lake is blue, the mountains are veiled in mist, and people live as if time were real, but not worth rushing. Place 26 Lopner, when the desert keeps what no one dares to ask in the driest land of Xinjiang. There is a place where the wind carries no words, and silence is the only language left. This is Lopner, an immense desert that was once a vast salt lake, now reduced to dry cracks stretching like scars across an ancient earth. No trees, no people, no sound, only a sky so vast it overwhelms you, and a land carved by time and forgetfulness. People call Lopner the Chinese Bermuda Triangle, not because of frightening tales, but because entire expeditions have vanished here without a trace. Yet if you set aside the rumors and stand in Lopner on a windless afternoon, you will realize this place is not frightening. It is simply too silent for us to bear the truth. The ground is speckled with patches of dry salt, dunes curve like waves of stone, and the horizon is so far you lose all sense of your body in space. Here, there are no signposts, no paths, only a journey into emptiness itself. And sometimes, emptiness is the most primal form of beauty that needs no proof. Lopner is not a place for travel. It is a place to listen to what the world might say if all humankind fell silent. Place 27 Ghost City of Xinjiang, when the wind sculpts a city without people in the far west of Xinjiang, where the sun shines without casting shadows. There is a place where the wind is the architect, and stone is memory shaped into form. They call it Ghost City, not because it was once inhabited, but because it looks like a city abandoned from another world. On the barren ground, hundreds of rock formations rise, like watchtowers, gates, fortresses, domes, all carved by wind and time over millions of years. No human hands, no trace of man-made design, only wind, dust, and nature's absolute patience. When you walk into Ghost City, You need no imagination, for everything here is already imagination turned to stone. You will see pillars like guard towers, rounded forms like ancient temples, and deep crevices like alleys, all silent, as if keeping a secret. At sunset, red light slants across the rugged stones, casting long, winding shadows like silhouettes of people quietly leaving, and when the wind begins to blow, you will hear a strange sound, not a howl, not a whisper, but the voice of a world that once existed and now breathes through stone. Ghost City is not a place to linger, but it is a place to learn that nature can build an entire city without a single living soul in it. Place 28, Mount Wudang. When the mountain's silence speaks more than 10,000 teachings, amid drifting white clouds over deep green peaks, lies a place where stillness is not the absence of sound, but a force. This is Mount Wudang, where nature, martial arts, and meditation live under the same sky. In Hubei province, Mount Wudang is not remarkable for its height, but for its depth. The space here is not loud, not sharp, but misty. Like a living ink painting, the path to the summit winds around cliffs covered in green moss, with the sound of streams trickling and wind whispering through the ancient trees. As you go deeper into the mountains, you will feel one thing here. Your body naturally slows. Steps grow lighter. Breaths grow deeper. The mind grows quieter. At the top are ancient temple roofs with green-gray tiles, perched between earth and sky as if placed there by clouds. The air carries a faint scent of incense, and sometimes you may see someone practicing Tai Chi, slow, soft movements, like the wind dancing with leaves. Wudang does not speak of victory. It speaks of harmony between strength and softness, between earth and sky, between the self and the still. Standing above the sea of clouds, gazing at endless blue mountains fading into the horizon, you will understand why this place is not only the cradle of martial arts, but also a path that leads people back to their most primal state, silence. Place 29, Hojil. Where the earth is as wild as before human footsteps, there are places you go to slow down. There are places you go to heal. And there are places you can only reach through the deepest silence in your heart. Hojil, located on the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, is one of the wildest regions left on this planet. No towns, no hotels, no phone signal, only sky, earth, wind, and ancient creatures that still live as if they have never known humans. This is the only place in China where wildlife, such as Tibetan antelope, gray wolves, and snow bears, still roam free, as in prehistoric times. They neither avoid you nor welcome you, because in Hojil, you are not a conqueror. You are merely a wanderer, stepping into the territory of pure nature. The wind here never stops. The highland air is so cold, it brushes your skin like needles, and so thin that each breath makes you realize you are still alive. From afar, Hojil stretches endlessly, a blend of snow mountains, glaciers, salt lakes, and withered grasslands. No color stands out, but it is this monotone that makes everything feel real, without needing embellishment. No one can own Hojil. You can only ask permission to pass through And if you are lucky, you will carry back one of life's rarest feelings. The feeling that humans are small, and nature does not need us to know its name to go on living. Place 30 karst peaks of Guilin. When the earth remembers, it was once a dream. If there is a place where nature does not build scenery, but writes poetry, it is Gila, where mountains rise not from land, but from the memory of rivers along the Li River. Thousands of sharp limestone peaks jut up from the plains like unfinished brushstrokes. They are not towering, not imposing, but so beautiful that your heart softens without warning. As you drift on a wooden boat down the river, the scenery passes slowly. Each peak, each tree's shadow, each wisp of mist over the water, all telling a dream that happened long before you arrived. In the morning, sunlight pierces through thin mist, turning the whole region into a breathing ink painting. In the afternoon, sunset spreads orange gold over the still water, and the peaks reflect into the river like brushes, writing this space anew. Guilin is not just a scenic spot. It is a place where the ancient Chinese believed the soul of their land resides in each rock and each stream. Standing among the limestone peaks, you may not find anything specific, but you will feel something deep within you suddenly go quiet. Not because of sadness, but because it has been too long since you last heard nature say something without a single word. Place 31 Tianmen Mountain, where the sky opens in the middle of stone. If there is a place where a giant gate opens in the middle of a mountain, as if the heavens placed a hand down and gently left a passage, it is Tianmen Mountain, located in Zhangjiajie, Hunan. Tianmen is not only famous for its height or majestic scenery, but for something that defies logic, a massive, arch-shaped hole at the mountain's peak, called the Heaven's Gate. From the ground, you can clearly see this gate, like a crack in the sky's dome, like the soft call of another world. To reach it, you can take the longest cable car in Asia, gliding between forested mountains and seas of clouds, or climb over 999 stone steps along the mountainside. Each step, a challenge. Each breath, a vow to nature. But Tianmen's beauty is not just in the Heaven's Gate. The whole mountain is a symphony of white clouds, gray stone, and forest trees embracing the paths. Glass walkways, clinging to cliffs, make you catch your breath. Yet you cannot stop looking down into the deep valley where clouds swirl like waves. In the afternoon, sunlight streams through the rock arch, casting a soft beam, not blinding, but enough to still you. Not because of beauty, but because you feel you are standing before something greater than reason. Tianmen is not a place to rush through. It is a place to pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself one question. Is there something within you also waiting to open? Just like that gate, place 32 Qingcheng Mountain. When the mist writes philosophy, there are mountains that are not high, not rugged, yet make you want to stay longer, as if they know how to quiet every sound inside you. Qingcheng, in Sichuan province, is one such mountain. No sharp edges, no wild harshness, just a soft, silk-like range covered in bamboo forests, green moss, and a mist that never fully lifts. The ancients chose this place to practice Taoism, not because it was majestic, but because it was peaceful. A peace not born from emptiness, but from the way nature here does not compete for anything with anyone. Walking along moss-covered stone paths, you will see streams running beside you, birdsong echoing lightly through bamboo groves, and old steps leading up to wooden temples hidden in the mist. No map needed. You just walk, because nature itself will guide you to its rhythm. In the morning, the sun rises very slowly. Light only pierces the mist a little, enough for you to see dewdrops resting on leaves, sparkling as if whispering something that humans can feel but cannot say. Locals say that in Qingcheng, even the air has a heartbeat, and if you are still enough, you will find that beat matches your own. Qingcheng does not try to teach you anything. It simply gives you a space where the answer can appear on its own. Once you no longer ask, place 33 Yubeng Village, where you can only arrive if you dare to walk through the clouds. No roads for cars, no airports, no honking horns or city lights. To reach Yubeng, you must walk across valleys, through forests, through mist, through clouds, and finally, you will arrive at a place the modern world has forgotten, but nature never abandoned it. Yubeng, in Yunnan province, rests quietly at the foot of Meili Snow Mountain, one of China's most sacred and treacherous ranges. This small village is almost completely cut off from major routes. No one passes by Yubeng by accident. You can only set foot here if you truly want to find something, though you may not yet know its name. Along the way, you will encounter a sacred waterfall where locals still come to make wishes, and ancient forests, so damp they seem to hold the breath of the earth itself. When you look up, there is the silent snow mountain wrapped in clouds. When you look down, there is a silver stream winding through mossy stones. And when you stop, there is complete stillness. People here live slowly. They grow corn, burn firewood, and smile gently. They do not ask where you come from, nor do they greet you with bustle, because in a place like Yubeng, every presence is accepted by nature in the most natural way. At night, the sky is filled with stars. No pollution, no artificial light, only the sound of wind through the trees, the quiet steps of a cat across a roof, and the sound of your own heart finally able to hear itself. Yubeng is not for those seeking comfort, but for those who want to return to something raw, real, and free of any need for a network to connect. This place may be the most beautiful silent dream you will ever walk into. Place 34 Lenghu. When the night sky turns a forgotten place into a gateway to the universe, there are places that were once bustling and then turned silent. There are cities that once shone brightly and were slowly dusted over by time, and there is one place where, when humans left, the sky began to speak. Lenghu, on the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, was once a lively oil drilling town in the middle of a barren land. Then one day, the machines stopped. People left. Houses stood empty, and all that remained was nature, vast, high, and absolutely still. Yet it was precisely this stillness that turned Lenghu into one of the best stargazing spots in Asia. By day, Lenghu is a cold, dry land, with rock and dust stretching to the horizon. No trees, no water, not a single human figure, but when the sun sets, the sky opens like an invisible stage. No city lights, No smog, no light pollution, only the Milky Way, clear as a shimmering river pouring right over your head. Each cluster of stars, each nebula, each spark of light, all visible to the naked eye, as if the universe were leaning down to let you see what elsewhere could only be glimpsed through a telescope. You do not need to understand astronomy. You just need to look up and be silent, because in that moment, you will see solitude is not frightening. Just standing in the universe knowing you are small is enough to feel you are truly alive. Lenghu is no longer a city. It is a boundary between what has passed and what is waiting to be looked up at. Place 35, Changbai Mountain. When fire sleeps beneath snow, on the border between China and North Korea, lies a mountain with a volcanic crater beneath and snow above all year round. A place where heat once tore open the sky, now soothed by a breathless blanket of white stillness. This is Changbai Mountain, a range both pristine and surreal, holding the energy of both creation and destruction. At its heart lies Tianqi, the heavenly lake, nestled in the vast mouth of the volcano, more than 2,000 meters above sea level. On clear days, the lake is emerald blue, reflecting the sky and the icy peaks around it, creating a scene so still and surreal. It feels like you are staring into a world not yet awakened. But if the wind rises and mist rolls in, within minutes, everything vanishes. The lake, the mountains, the sky, the path, all sink into whiteness and absolute cold. You see nothing but your own breath, and hear nothing but your heartbeat in a realm unseen. In Changbai, everything is unhurried, the river flows slowly, the wind blows gently, the trees stand still. Yet beneath that calm lies immense power of a volcano at rest, of nature never subdued. Locals say Changbai is where heaven and earth meet, not with thunder, but with silent agreement. You do not come here to explore, you come here to listen to something deep inside yourself, like the heavenly lake, peaceful but never empty. Closing. The journey through places that never made the headlines. You have just traveled through 36 lands. Not just 36 destinations, but 36 moments when nature suddenly paused, turned to you, and asked, "Do you remember once dreaming of places like these, from mist-covered peaks where ancient temples hang between earth and sky, to river towns where lantern light drifts gently on the water like memories not yet faded? From endless deserts where wind is the silent sculptor, to highland lakes where the sky leans down to kiss the crystal surface, you have not only looked, you have felt the breath of the earth, the tenderness of stone, and the depth only lands with nothing to prove can offer. Perhaps you will never set foot in them all. Perhaps you will only see them through a screen, a short video, or a few lines of text. But the strange thing is, if you truly pause and quietly listen, they will still find a way to touch you, because this world is not written only in maps. It is drawn from places no one mentions. Yet they remain, waiting for an attentive gaze and a still enough heart. Thank you for walking this road with me. And if this journey makes you want to slow down a little, to see, to breathe, to live, then please subscribe, because there are still so many more lands waiting to be named with respect, with love, and with your quiet presence.